What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing terrifying encounters with demonic hooved entities. Okay, so I did a poll in the community tab, and I saw that the main thing that most of you all want to see more of is encounters with strange creatures in the woods. This doesn't mean that's all that I'll be bringing you, but there will be a lot more videos on this topic in the weeks to come. There is no doubt, even if we only took things I've covered here on this channel, that sometimes reports come in about encounters with some pretty strange and bizarre, almost unbelievable creatures in the woods that go well beyond what we can loosely call the norm as far as such encounters go. Some of the things I've come across in my research lately have been mystifying, but also super fascinating to me as I see more and more people coming forward willing to not only share, but to stand behind their encounters with these entities or creatures. And that makes me feel very relieved in a way, because it's not just me anymore now, right? So what I'm about to discuss with you guys defies really any sort of classification, and honestly, it kind of defies any kind of logic sense too. But still in all, I just couldn't let it go, and I have tons of videos like this, and I'm super, super excited about bringing it all to you. This video specifically, though, is covering demonic-like creatures, and usually we think of horns, but you gotta think hooves too when you think about the demons. In the old days, it was said that when Satan himself would come and pay a home visit, that you'd be able to tell it was him just by looking at the stranger's feet, as they'd be, you guessed it, hooved. Absolutely terrifying to even think about. Could these encounters be with Satan himself then? With his minions? With evil fae creatures we are simply miscategorizing, or something else altogether? As always, I will let you all be the judge, and be sure and leave me a comment as we jump right in here today. Our first encounter takes place in Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada in 1980. Our witness was camping in the area and had a terrifying encounter they would not soon forget, if ever. It was Boy Scout camp, and the young kid was sharing a tent with some other boys from his troop, and they were having a grand old time, at least at first. While in their tent on the second or third evening of their 5-day retreat, the young men in this particular tent heard some rather frightening noises coming from the woods just outside of and around their tents. It was described as sounding like some sort of loud panting and snorting, quote, similar to a bull or something, end quote. Whatever this creature was, it certainly wasn't a bull, not in this area of the woods, and things would take a turn for the scary really, really quickly here. The creature started not only circling the tent, but banging into the sides of it. Around and around it went, seemingly slamming into the sides of this tent with a lot of force. Whatever it was must have been huge and was definitely super strong. The entire time this was happening, the boys were stunned, silent, and obviously scared out of their minds. They listened intently to every noise they could hear coming from outside their tent, which by now was probably seeming pretty damn flimsy. And I think probably, it didn't say this, but just to speculate, I feel as though the rest of the sounds in the woods with something like this roaming around probably stopped as well. So it was probably all they could hear, which I don't know. For me, like, I picture it in my head, like the whole scene, and it scares me. It's why I've never been camping, but I'm supposed to be going this year to the Pine Barrens. So these kids heard one sound more distinctly than all the others, including the almost unrealistically loud snorting, and it was the sound of hooves clomping into the earth that was surrounding their tents. Our witness described what happened next by saying, quote, I first thought my uncle was playing a joke on me. I soon realized the lung capacity of this breathing far exceeded that of any man. The sound was in another room at first. Next, I heard what sounded like hooves on the old wooden floor moving towards me. The noisy steps stopped in the doorway to the room I was in. The deep breathing continued, and my heart was now racing. I thought that would be the end of it, but then the steps continued rapidly to where I was laying on the floor. The two massive hooves came to rest, straddling me in my sleeping bag. The quote-unquote being pulled at my sleeping bag, trying to uncover my face. I felt as though I was being partially lifted from the floor from the force. I was terrified and fought with everything I had to avoid seeing the face of the intruder. I screamed with everything I had, and after a few seconds, the quote-unquote being retreated. I heard 3 rapid steps as it departed behind my head, then it vanished, end quote. So I know it said tent and rooms. I don't know anything about tents, like I just said, or camping. Do tents have rooms? Does this make sense? I think so, right? There are like double, I don't know. This thing walked in. That's what I know. So what exactly are we dealing with here? While we might never know for sure, the Boy Scouts thought that maybe it was some sort of demonic beast or creature, summoned or otherwise, let loose and set free to roam the very forest where they had been camping. No doubt whatever it was smelled them and knew they were there, so why did it just leave like that? I don't know any kind of demonic entity where screaming sends it running. I don't know. In California, in the very early years of the new millennium, our next witness, who was only 18 years old at the time, preludes her encounter a bit by stating that she and her friend Rose were very much interested in and involved in the occult. They used Ouija boards and even tried to practice witchcraft from time to time. I'll never understand why people think these things are fun or something to invite in and play around with absolutely no ideas or means to protect themselves or even what they're doing, or so much worse in my opinion, no idea what they're inviting into their lives and possibly their souls as well. Maybe because Parker Brothers has Ouija as a game. I don't know. I understand the interest, but if you're going to try to practice witchcraft or do spells or use Ouija board, which there's really no circumstances you should, anything like that, you should know what you're doing, guys. You know, the more you know, I'm just saying. So anyway, our witness is named Rochelle, and she says that she and her friend Rose, mostly at Rose's behest and under her quote-unquote leadership, performed seances and other rituals as well, and as they hung out one night at Rochelle's house, which was not only deep in the woods, but also where they did most of their stuff at, Rose suddenly said she felt an evil presence in the house, and that she was scared. I'll let Rochelle tell you what happened next. Quote, I too felt a presence, or like there was more than one supernatural thing in the house. Rose ended up going to her family's for a little while, so I had my bedroom all to myself again. My bed was a day bed that was up against the wall with the bedroom door right at the foot of the bed. The edge of the bed where my head was is a closet. Across the room adjacent to the bed were two long windows that went from wall to wall. One night while I was sleeping facing the windows, I woke to a slight tapping sound. I slowly opened my eyes and saw a goat looking through the window. It had red eyes and horns with hooves placed on the windowsill. I was petrified. I slowly closed my eyes and turned my back, pretending I didn't see anything. I kept hearing a little tap, but forced myself to sleep. This happened twice, then never happened again. I told my mom about something at my window, and she told me, quote, I know there is something in this house. You and Rose invited it in, end quote. I don't know if that is true, but whatever it was, I don't want it to come back. It never did, and I hope I will never see it again. I was not dreaming, and I know that as a fact. Does anyone know what this could have been? To this day, it still gives me the chills thinking about it. Out of all of my experiences with the quote-unquote supernatural, this was the eeriest, end quote. So was this some kind of warning? I don't know what to think as to why these people are only being like sniffed out or checked out through a window, but who knows? Maybe their angels and guides were working overtime, or maybe, which to me is a little bit more likely in a scenario like this, one or both of them was a natural witch and didn't know it and somehow accidentally invoked protection around them. Again, though, the actual answers, as always, are left up in the air and are anyone's guess. The mom here, in my opinion, probably had some kind of abilities as well, whether she knows it or not. So, our next encounter, a man was driving down a rural road in Colorado when he saw someone just standing on the side of the road. This was especially odd considering the weather was a strange and somewhat eerie mist of rain and snow mixed together. Our witness decided to pull over and see if this stranger needed any help or if he was in some sort of trouble. This is when he noticed the image he was looking at wasn't a man at all. Quote, I noticed that his body proportions were all wrong and that his legs were long and thin. I realized something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was yet. I still thought there might have been an accident or something, so I pulled up next to the strange man, and that was when I noticed that he had skinny, goat-like legs ending in hooves, and he looked up at me with a muzzled face I will never forget. Those eyes were like embers, and I got the distinct sense that it did not want to be bothered. I pressed the accelerator, and I was out of there, end quote. Smart choice. While our next witness was visiting her grandmother's home, she said she always loved to go out on the porch while she was there and watch the beautiful colors of the sky during the sunset. And this is exactly what she was doing when she had her encounter. Nothing was out of the ordinary at first until she saw something wandering towards her a bit farther off along on the very large property. It came meandering slowly out of the woods and was described as looking like something half human, half animal. Terrifying our now stunned and shockingly silent and still witness. It looked hunched over, but it was quickly evident that that wasn't the case at all. As it continued to approach her, it suddenly stood up on its hind legs and was kind of bipedal, only it still looked all wrong. Our witness goes on to explain, quote, "It looked like some kind of demon standing upon goat-like legs ending in hooves, and it made a snorting sound the likes of which I had never heard. It took a few steps towards me, its hooves clomping heavily upon the hard-packed earth, and it just sort of stared at me. Its face was somewhat human, but contorted and with dimensions that were sort of off, and it had 2 horns perched upon its head. The thing, whatever it was, examined me, cocked its head as if in curiosity, and then bolted away. And I mean bolted. It was so fast. Before I knew it, it was gone." End quote. Despite my being able to do a full, albeit rather short, video on this topic, it's important to keep in mind that sightings like these are very, very rare. Either that, or they're just very rarely reported. I can't help but wonder and wander in my own mind back to where it all seems to fall all of the time, at least for me, and that's to the missing in the woods. You know, that little phenomenon we've all become far too familiar with by now? All of the above encounters, despite the differences, have one very strange and very creepy thing in common: hooves. If you think of all of the aforementioned legends, fables, and tales of way back when, you'll find all kinds of devils and fiends and even imps who all seem to have this one malady in common as well. Is it even possible these could be some sort of creature that we haven't classified yet? I very much doubt that it's either that simple or that non-threatening. In my own humble opinion, anyone who comes across one of these creatures, regardless of where, when, why, or how, should get themselves some spiritual help stat. That's not an indictment on them, though. It would just be the cautious thing to do, considering even just laying eyes on one of these things could be detrimental to your very soul. That's all I have for you today, guys. I know it was very short and very sweet, but if you like this content, I will continue to bring it to you. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the content and hanging out with me today. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and spread the love by sharing this video. Check out the description box. You will find links on how to donate to the channel, PayPal, Cash App. Become a patron if you donate $20 a month or more. Through Patreon, I will automatically every month give you a personal bonus intuitive oracle reading, a full spread, 7 to 10 cards, and automatically send it to you as a thank you on top of early release of videos, which I'm sometimes able to put out. I'm not that good with my Patreon, but I really do try. Also in the description box, you'll find my email addresses. There's 2 of them, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com and MoonBearOracle@gmail.com. Hit me up about how to purchase sprays, spiritual helper boxes, crystals, whatever it is that you need, any kind of spiritual, metaphysical help or whatever. Personal intuitive oracle readings, either the remote ones or the 1-hour face-to-face via video chat. You can message me about any of that stuff. I also included a very short video, but that was before I started with the spiritual helper boxes and gemstone oil rollers. I keep making promises about the website. Why is it taking so long? There are a few reasons, but mainly it's a little bit of a scheduling thing. But I figure even if it takes a little bit longer than it should, it's going to be exactly how I want it when it comes out. So that's the main thing. So stay patient, guys. It's not going to be that much longer at all. We are almost done, and I can't wait for you guys to see all of my inventory. If you want to come and hang out on Wednesday nights with me and Ghost Dragon CW, we are here from 7:15 p.m. Eastern, usually till 11:15, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. But if we run out of readings to do, then usually I'll just call it a night because I'm pretty much beat and exhausted by then. But come on in and hang out. Get yourself a weekly reading, 1 card random pull. I'm pretty sure that's it. Please don't forget to vote for me for Face of Horror. I've posted the link in the community tab many, many times. I really do appreciate it, guys. To win $13,000, a photo shoot with Kane Hodder himself, the man who played Jason Voorhees in most of the Jason movies for Rue Morgue magazine, 2 nights in Buffalo Bill's house, and a walk-on role in a new indie flick. So I was second the last time I looked, first for a little while, going back and forth. I really appreciate all the votes, all the submissions, all the donations, all the loves, the support, the friendship. I absolutely adore you guys. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. Never accept anything less than others being kind to you. Always go in grace. I don't know why I'm laughing. Smile at a stranger, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.